And thank you again, Sheila, for everything you do and for our collaboration with the Illinois Poor People's Campaign and Indivisible Illinois. We have a really good coalition and we want it to continue. I want to introduce Jonathon Rogoff, who is going to talk about the roadmap to 2022. Jonathan.
Thank you, Marci. Yes, I'm Jonathon Rogoff. My pronouns are he, him. I am one of the co-leads of the Indivisible Illinois Social Justice Alliance. I'm also a member, leader, whatever, of the Indivisible IL9 Anderson Edgewater group. So what we have done as part of the Social Justice Alliance is we have created something that we call the Roadmap to 2022, which I will start sharing here. And so we have this, and the bad news, usually this takes about 30 minutes or so to go through. The good news is because of all the amazing speakers we've had already, most of this material has been covered. So I think I'm going to be able to cover this, and I'm going to shoot for 5 minutes. We'll see how well I can do on this without to just kind of recap some of where we're at. And then we're going to kind of go into, that's going to be a prep for us heading into breakout rooms to have some actual discussions around this roadmap and how we organize and work together to achieve that roadmap. So with that, I also want to introduce one of the other leaders, advisor of the Indivisible Illinois Social Justice Alliance. She's already spoken before, but she wears many, many hats in our group. And so Rose, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Good afternoon. I will reintroduce myself for those of you that might be popping in and out. My name is Rose Colacino, and I'm co-coordinator at Indivisible Illinois. Thanks once again for being with us here today. I want to say that I am so honored to have our keynote speaker here, and I don't care how we have him, video, in person, from afar. So thankful for Dr. Barber of Poor People's Campaign. And I have to say, someone I've been personally following for a very long time, and who I feel is one of the transformative leaders of our time, fighting for all people, a true giant. And I recently heard a quote, and I totally agree with this, from Dr. Cornel West. He says that Reverend Dr. Barber is the closest that we have to Martin Luther King Jr., and I could not agree with that more. I also want to thank Sheila for being here. I got to know Sheila months ago when they were planning one of their many, many critical Moral Mondays here in Chicago, and she's also graced us with her presence at our Indivisible Illinois Social Justice Alliance. Sheila, we hope this is, as you do, I think, a very long-term partnership. Once you get a hold of Indivisible Illinois, it's hard for us to let you go. So thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for your volunteer work and everything that you do. And thank you to Poor People's Campaign in Illinois. So I have to say that it is, and this is going from some of Dr. Reverend Barber's words, it will take a wide coalition for us to win. It must definitely be multicultural and multi-ethnic, including all races, generations, religious affiliations. It must include all sexual orientations and gender identities. It must be the disadvantaged and privileged, as Dr. Reverend Barber teaches us so well, and people from all regions. We can do so by partnering and collaborating with organizations like the Poor People's Campaign. I hope you join us in this endeavor. And now back to Jonathan.
All right, thanks, Rose. So yes, so now let's dive into the roadmap. So the first place that we kind of go is we go into our challenges heading into 2022. I think we're all fairly aware of a lot of this. Just want to kind of, again, raise up a level and highlight that, yeah, it's always racism. It changes its name every day, you know, each for the period of time and where we're at, you know, whether it's slavery or Confederacy or Jim Crow or states' rights or Tea Party or MAGA or the Big Lie. It's all the same thing, just different names. Terminology changes to try and hide it and keep it hidden, but the process and that they're always preventing equal representation, that is the constant, and that is what we need to be understanding, that is what we are dealing with and working against. We know we have a motivated opposition. I think Ezra and others spoke to a lot of this and all the different things that are going on in our current political climate, and we talked, and the words that Win folks talked about the dog whistling and some of the other stuff. Obviously, I think the one piece that hasn't been mentioned, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but we certainly do have all this this vigilante violence stuff, or at least threats of violence, going into our public officials and stuff now at this point, which that, at least in my lifetime, that seems to be a rather new thing. I think may not be for everybody here, but certainly for, it's definitely a change in the climate that we need to be aware of. We know we have a lot of headwinds from the economy and Delta and natural disasters and everything else. We've talked about, there were some discussed, the words that Wynn folks talked about, that we need to be aware of the false equivalencies. We need to be aware of kind of just giving, we need to be careful in our messaging to make sure that we're not promoting what's already being promoted enough by the media and by everybody else in terms of that's causing people to be frustrated and disengage. And we need to keep an eye on what our electoral college map looks like for 2024, and that's going to be more difficult than it is right now. So with that being the environment, what's our analysis? Legislation, all of these bills have been discussed earlier. I'm not going to spend more time on that. Obviously, here in Illinois, with the redistricting stuff that's been going on, our goal right now is as many blue seats as possible. We're going to be doing endorsement stuff. That's why we want to be getting people involved now. Now is the time to get involved if you want to be part of helping us make those decisions on who we're going to be endorsing and how that's going to be moving. That is going to be starting very soon. We also need to, looking at it nationally, we've got Ron Johnson up in Wisconsin, and then the Senate that we need to get out. Raphael Warnock obviously needs to get reelected, along with Mark Kelly, as well as paying attention to Pennsylvania and North Carolina. Governors here and in Wisconsin. And then I also want to highlight again that we need to do a lot of local work on county official judges and school boards, and why people need to vote and how that's going to change, them and affect things locally. This messaging stuff, I think that the words that Wynn ladies did a fabulous job, so I don't know that I need to spend much time on this. Again, just all the terminology and stuff that's in here. These are all things that have been focus group tested, and you can see what, when we use the right messaging, our messaging beats their messaging and we win. We just need to use it, and we need to get that out and spread that word and get it out there. And as what Reverend Barber was saying and some of the other stuff, it really is about the 1%, the corporations, and the politicians and lawmakers that are in their pockets. We don't need to name them. We know who they are. Just, let that resonate with folks, that those are the people, those are the villains, and that's who we need to be highlighting. And focus on the desired outcomes and selling the brownies. So now as we get into organizing, which this gets us more into some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about here with our groups. Oh, and I should just on that messaging stuff, I should also say one of our 5 groups that we're going to be talking about in a little bit is the Truth Brigade, one of our breakout rooms. So if that messaging stuff resonates with you and so forth, they're going to be getting into talking about truth sandwiches and other stuff that builds on what was done in Words That Win. So that is definitely a group that you may want to pay attention to for that. Now, as far as here are our recommended actions, which also tie to some of our other groups, we've got our Social Justice Alliance group, which is doing a lot of stuff for elevating voices from disadvantaged communities and trying to be in coalition with them and help them understand what they need and make sure they're activated and voting as well to help all of us. So we've got that going on that ties into a number of these things. We also have our voting rights team that's doing a lot of stuff on vote by mail, as well as some of that legislation stuff that I had listed earlier. And so that is another one of our breakout rooms and groups that we're going to be talking about. I do want to highlight there that we have that the vote by mail effort and the analysis of the 2020 turnout is that it definitely reduced turnout inequalities. So that is definitely something we want to keep the push on. And here in Illinois, we now have a permanent vote by mail list. So if you weren't aware, that is something new for this coming year, this coming election cycle, that people can sign up once and get a ballot every time there's an election. And they just have to sign up once to get on it, register, sign up, get on it. And until you move, you're good to go. So that's all there. We also have our IL Vote team, which is doing a lot of stuff with voter registration, as well as some of the other groups that are mentioned here. So summing up, some reminders here. As Heather was telling us, it's yes, it's the same as it ever was, but that also means we've done it before. We can do it again. We just need to organize and get that done. As Rose and Reverend Barber in his video and stuff were saying, it will take a wide coalition of us to win. We need to build that coalition. We need to start building it now. As the Words of Win folks were telling us, we need to sell the brownie, not the recipe. We know we're here in Illinois. We need to pay attention to Wisconsin and Michigan. Those are, from a national perspective, really critical in 2022 and 2024. It's just right now, those are very critical states and they're right so close. We need to be doing what we can to help them. And then, as has been said, with the authoritarianism and the other stuff that we're fighting against, the American experiment versus the 1% is what is on the ballot. So with that, Rose wants to kind of sum us up a little bit here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And I have to tell you that Indivisible Illinois has been in the planning business for a while. We had a plan in 2018, working closely with Wisconsin and Michigan, especially Wisconsin. That was very, very successful. I want to thank everybody, and don't forget to celebrate all the good work we did in 2018 and 2020. So yes, we have a plan. Once again, this is the 22 plan. We've been presenting this since July, actually back and forth, Jonathan and myself. And we hope you help us spread the word. You will notice that there are not links here, but you will notice hopefully that in the chat, if you have that opened up, there's a resource document that has all the links. So if you are a person that wants to phone bank, if you are a person that wants to text, if you are a person that wants to write a letter to the editor, we need all of that. So please do open that document up and put it to work. This slide, so I understand and appreciate you might be reading it while I was talking, and that's perfectly fine. This is a lengthy quote. I have been guided by this quote for a very long time, since I first became familiarized with this woman. And I ask that you take a picture, but I am going to summarize what you see before you. And let me tell you a very little bit about Miriam Kaba, and I hope you do some more research on her too. She is, and we're talking about a lot of great organizers. We have some great organizers with us here today, I think most of us, and most definitely Kaba rates as one of the greats. So I'm going to paraphrase best I can what you see before you, because I do feel that it's very instructive. What she is telling us is that all of us are needed in this movement, be it the activists, the advocates, the organizers, but, and this is just so key, I can't stress enough, it is through collaboration that we can make the most difference. Back to you, Jonathan.
All right, thank you, Rose. And yes, my last slide on the roadmap is I like to end with the Langston Hughes poem, and I believe that is also something that Poor People's Campaign also uses, but we talk about that we need America to be the nation that has never been but must be. Because of time constraints, I will let you read the rest of it, and by all means there are more stanzas in that. Please do look that up. But with that, we are going to switch. I will stop sharing, and then Cameron, if you can pull up a couple of slides around the chapters and the breakout rooms. So yes, so at this point we do have, I want to remind everyone about all of our different chapters here in Illinois and the ones we have. And so especially the ones that have helped to organize this convening just in alphabetical order. We have the ABT Sauk Valley, then the ARC Champaign-Urbana, Heartland Resistance Coalition, Indivisible Evanston, Indivisible IL9, Andersonville Edgewater, Indivisible Metro East, Indivisible NWS OFA, Indivisible Springfield, and Western Front Indivisible. So all of those groups are all represented here. There are also other groups where if you go to the Indivisible Illinois website, you will see that there's also at least 3 times that many groups on there. Next slide, please. And so please do join, look for your local chapter and join if you are not a member already. Get connected. The other way that we connect across all those chapters is we have our 5 working groups. We have the IL Vote group, which is all about voter registration. We have an Indivisible Rural Illinois group, which is about things that are going on outside of the Chicagoland area in the state of Illinois, and doing whether that's with the stuff that we're getting out of the Build Back Better plan, or whether it's stuff about just local, issues on that end, or dealing with county board elections and so forth. Those are all things that are going on with that group. Got the Truth Brigade, that's all about the messaging, building on what the Words That Win team was doing and doing similar things along those lines. We have the Social Justice Alliance, which, as I said, is about elevating voices from marginalized communities or disadvantaged communities. And then we have the voting rights or vote by mail team that is working a lot on the voting rights legislation, as well as vote by mail stuff, and vote by mail improving access to and encouraging people and educating people on that. So those are all our working groups. We're going to now have breakout rooms for each one of those. There we go. There is a slide talking about all those different groups we have. The room 1 is our rural group. Room 2 is our Truth Brigade, and then I'll Vote and voting rights, and then the Social Justice Alliance. So you'll be able to have some time to go to each group. We've got enough time that you can probably go to see a couple of different groups. I think we're going to announce at different points when would be a good time to kind of switch around if you want to check out a couple different ones. But please come and engage and talk with us in the different groups and learn a little bit more about where you might be able to plug in. So with all that, I am going to now turn it over to Cameron so he can explain exactly the process by which we do that.